Hello friends, this is Insomnia to Peace. I'm John the Sleep Coach. In this video I want to go over a practical tool you can start implementing tonight to get you over insomnia. Bedtime restriction, sometimes called sleep restriction, is a powerful CBTI technique that works really well for a lot of people. In part 1 of this video I'm going to give you an explanation of what it is and how it works. And in part 2, I'm going to go over some common questions that people have when they start the program, some additional insights that I came up with when I was going through the program myself, and some variations of bedtime restriction that might be better suited for you. So bedtime restriction is simply limiting the amount of time that you give yourself to sleep every night. This works for two main reasons. First of all, you're limiting the amount of time that you're tossing and turning in bed. It's very common for people suffering from insomnia to compensate for the lack of sleep they're getting by adding on more and more time in bed. So let's say that somebody suffering from insomnia was only getting 5 hours of sleep. It's a very common reaction for people to give themselves 8, 9, or maybe even upwards of 10 hours in bed. The hope is that by doing this, they're giving themselves such a generous window that it's going to increase the odds of them getting an adequate amount of sleep that night. However, this usually backfires. Not only are we giving away more and more of our time in our life to our desire to get more sleep, but we are training our brain to view bedtime as something that we spend half the time sleeping and half the time tossing and turning. As you can imagine, this isn't really ideal. We want as much of our time in bed to be very comfortable, restorative, and peaceful. The other main reason why this works is by limiting the amount of time we are in bed, we are increasing our body's natural sleep drive. There's one thing and only one thing that can increase our sleep drive, and that is by spending more time being awake. So how much time should you spend in bed at the start of the program? Well, how much time are you actually sleeping per night? Let's say that you're only getting 6 hours of sleep every night. That's the amount of time, that's the total amount of time that you will spend in bed going forward for a week or two. No matter how much sleep you're getting, I wouldn't recommend giving yourself less than 5.5 hours of bedtime per night. That's the bare minimum. So let's say that your sleep window is 6 hours long. And you have to wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning. You would go to bed at 1 o'clock in the morning. You keep this sleep window for 1 to 2 weeks. During that time, you're going to make a note of how much you're actually sleeping over the amount of time that you're in bed. This is called our sleep efficiency. The higher the sleep efficiency, the better. So let's say on a given night, you sleep for 5 hours over the amount of time that you give yourself in bed, which is 6 hours. Your sleep efficiency in that case would be about 83%. If on average your sleep efficiency for the past week or two is 85% or more, then we add on an additional 15 to 30 minutes to the start of our sleep window. So in this, going back to our earlier example, if you're going to bed at 1 o'clock and you're waking up at 7 because you have that 6 hour window, you would add on an additional 15 to 30 minutes at the start of your sleep window. So you'd go to bed at 12:45 or 12:30 a.m. Then we repeat that process every week or two. Now that we know what bedtime restriction is, in part 2, we're going to go into the concept a little bit deeper and exploring some common questions that people have when they undergo this treatment and some insights that I came up with when I went through it myself. I highly recommend you check it out. If this video is helpful for you in any way, shape, or form, please hit that subscribe button, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again.